Matt Damon is back in action defending the Great Wall, but is it worth the trip? Find out right here on Screen Junkies News. I'm Dan Merle here with your review for The Great Wall, a movie that's generated controversy and conversation for months now. It's finally hitting theaters here stateside after generating over $200 million in overseas grosses. Now, The Great Wall is notable because it is the most expensive English language film ever shot in China. You might know its director Zhang Yimou from movies like Hero, House of Flying Daggers, and the stunning opening ceremonies to the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. And that sense of spectacle is what he really brings to the table with The Great Wall. This is a movie that starts with spectacle and has spectacle in the middle and ends in spectacle. Unfortunately, it doesn't really offer a lot beyond that. Matt Damon plays William, a European ne'er-do-well bandit type who finds himself captured at the Great Wall alongside his friend, played by Pedro Pascal, who you might know from Game of Thrones. But the Chinese have more to worry about than these two European bandits because, as happens every 60 years, a massive army of crazy dog lizard things is attacking the Great Wall. They're called Tao-Tais, and they are a force to be reckoned with. Now, the first sequence of which they attack the Great Wall looked very familiar to me as an image from World War Z, where the zombies kind of swirled on top of each other in an attempt to crawl up the wall that was surrounding Israel. And the reason why this may look like a familiar imagery is because this movie was developed, at least the story idea, with Max Brooks, who of course was the mind behind the book World War Z. I found that sequence derivative in the movie, as well as most of the other action sequences in this movie. I feel like this movie got a lot of hype because of a director like Zhang Yimou, the kind of vision that he usually brings to his movies. However, even though this was produced in China with a really visionary Chinese director, I found this to be just as uninspired and flat as a lot of the CGI action movies that are produced right here in the United States. I guess it's a good thing for the international film community that they can produce a blockbuster that's as disappointing as the blockbusters that we've been getting lately, but I was hoping for more. I was hoping for something new. I was hoping for something different. Instead, it's really just more of the same. Now, for those of you that are angry that Matt Damon is the lead in this movie, perhaps it'll be some consolation that this is, I think, by far the worst performance I've ever seen from Matt Damon in any movie.
We have traveled thousands of miles in search of a weapon more powerful than we've ever known.
He plays a European. He's doing an accent that's sometimes kind of Irish. Sometimes it sounds like he's trying to impersonate a Native American. Sometimes it's just kind of a There Will Be Blood, Daniel Day-Lewis thing.
10 yards, 6 hands to the right.
I don't know how Matt Damon, an American, could screw up doing an American accent in a movie, but somehow he found a way. They spent a lot of money for him to be the lead in this movie, I guess so they could put his face on the posters. Unfortunately, his performance does not bear that out. I think it's distracting. It's not distracting in a weird way. It's just a really strange choice for him to make, and he really wasn't reeled in on any of this. The visuals and the action are obviously what this movie is counting on to sell it. Unfortunately, while the visuals at times can be inventive, they're really flat, they're very cartoonish, and I don't think that the special effects are really anything to write home about. And when you have a great spectacle like this movie that is really going to live and die based on how great these battle scenes look, I didn't find it to be that well done. I found it to be very much the faceless army kind of battle that you've seen in so many other movies. And I've seen movies do this kind of wall warfare so much better, like Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. A great example of how you can do a faceless army wall battle, keep track of your main characters, and do it in a compelling way. The Great Wall, unfortunately, can't do that. It seems to fall back on the fact that it's big, but unfortunately, what they're showing us just isn't that impressive. Now, it's hard to talk about this movie without talking about the controversy that surrounded it, particularly with Matt Damon being cast as the lead. A lot of people have said this is another example of Hollywood whitewashing. This is something that is following Ghost in the Shell. It's something that people talked about with Doctor Strange, also with Tilda Swinton being cast as the Ancient One. What I think is a little bit different here is that Matt Damon isn't playing a character from a pre-existing franchise that was a Chinese character. This is an original movie. This is an original work. It's one that does feature a cast of what looks like hundreds or thousands of Chinese actors, was filmed entirely in China, has a Chinese director. Tian Jing plays Lin Mei. She's a warrior on the Great Wall that's being threatened by these creatures. I actually liked her character. I liked what the movie did with her character. So a lot of people are treating this as if it's a movie that's kind of a slap in the face to China, and I wouldn't say that's what it is exactly. However, the fact that they did feel that they had to cast Matt Damon in the lead, the fact that the script, which was written by Americans, felt like they had to structure a story in which there is a European that's the lead of this movie, so that they can hire a Matt Damon, so that they can put an American movie star to put on the poster of the movie to sell it, is the conversation that I think we should really be having. Is this an example of Hollywood whitewashing? I'm not entirely sure that it is, but it does need to start a conversation about how movies are marketed, sold, and cast. We're so used to the idea that if movies do well in America, it doesn't matter how they do overseas, and that's simply not the case. The global market is becoming just as important as the domestic US market, maybe even more so, because films are finding success or finding different crowds or different audiences, different niches overseas as opposed to just here in the United States. Right now, I think there's a conventional wisdom that says that you cannot sell a movie unless you have a well-known American or European movie star as the face on the poster. But I think that the world needs to learn that this is a new market, and that these stories like The Great Wall, can and should be told with lead actors that are Chinese or European or Hispanic or any other culture. The international box office landscape is changing quickly, and as soon as Hollywood and markets across the world realize that they need to take a second look at the conventional wisdom, not only at who they're putting in their movies and what they're putting in their movies, that's when they're gonna learn that there are so many options out there right now that good enough isn't gonna cut it anymore. They really have to be exceptional. And really, that's what we should ask from every movie. Not just competent, not just cynical, but showing us something that we haven't seen before, showing us something that's going to excite us, not just something that's recycled and we've seen 100 times before. So The Great Wall isn't a terrible movie, but it's also not a movie that I can recommend. There are too many other great action movies out there. There are too many other good movies out there for me to say that you should see this over them. Seek out and find a great movie. Seek out and find an indie movie from a director that's struggling and see that instead. The Great Wall, while it takes some steps forward in international cooperation between studios and international cooperation between artists, still needs to work a little bit more on cooperation between the writers and its content. So those are my thoughts on The Great Wall. What did you think? Have you seen it? Are you planning to go see it? Let us know in the comments below. We always want to know what you think. And don't forget, there's so much other Screen Junkies news content right here you can click on and check out. Until next time, I'm Dan Merle. Thanks for watching.